let's move on to the running back position, the horses. And I know in Dynasty they have, and Mitch, just as a heads up, this is Dynasty format. I definitely could see him finishing top 10 this year. In fact, I think he's going to murder it with McVay. I wonder how long his leash is. So I think I have him at 15, I think I just showed. So we'll go back to quarterbacks while we wrap this up with Mitch. But where did I put Stafford? Yeah, 13. So I still think he's going to kill it this year and for about 3-4 more years, wherever he lasts with Sean McVay. I think he's going to kill it. But just because his leash is a little shorter, you have some guys you might be getting 15 years out of on this list versus probably 5 more out of Stafford. But I think they're going to be 5 very juicy years, Mitch. No problem. I see that. As Anthony DiLorenzo, the perfect segue. Time for the hosses. Absolutely. The most important position in fantasy, but I also know in Dynasty, the shelf life is much shorter than the wide receivers. Doesn't make them any less important, though. These guys are still going to be the backbone of your rosters. Just the bell cows, as Scott Barrett has done such great research, are so infinitely valuable over their other replacement positions. That's why I always load up at the position, even with 0 running back gaining team. I'm a running back hoss breeder till the day I die. So we're gonna stick to the hosses. I think McCaffrey still belongs in his own tier. I know last year was injury riddled, but that was the first of his 3 years that he's really been hurt. He's still young, only was drafted a few seasons ago. I still love him. Now, Barkley does make me nervous. I think the talent is supreme, insanely good. But I am nervous that these injuries, 2 years in a row, back-to-back, is don't like the line, don't like the coach, don't like his situation. He's a tricky one. I'd rather have JT. Give me the monster, who I'm a little bit lower. I would rather have Saquon in redraft. I think Taylor's career is going to be long and fruitful. I think it's going to be fantastic. So I have him a little bit higher. I know Dalvin has those injury concerns. Hey, how do you rank Barkley lower if your Cook has his injury concerns too? I have a feeling Cook's going to go down as a Keenan Allen, where he had a tough couple first years, and now he's just a monster. But I get the argument. And so if I'm making that argument, it's I think I prefer Cook if I'm going to go for one injury-prone guy over the other. And if Edwin's watching, I know he's injury-prone doesn't exist. Good argument there too, but I am a little bit nervous, these guys. I still think the big dog, Derrick Henry, I might put it 3. He is an absolute tank. And I know he's a little bit older here than these guys, 2016, so 5 or so years under his belt. But if anybody's an anomaly, if anybody's a horse, it's this guy. So maybe a little too high on him, but I would have him right there in my top 5. I've always been a Henry guy. And I think this tier is going to be a deep tier. I would probably cut it off there, maybe Swift. I might even go a little bit above Swift because I still want to see it from him a little more. The flashes were great. They were brilliant. I want to see that this staff will actually commit to him. They're already talking about freaking Jamal Williams as the A-gap pounder, all that stupid garbage. Come on. But I do think long-term he has a brilliant, beautiful ceiling. I know a lot of respected experts have him top 5 in their dynasty ranks, and I can't really argue that. I do like Cam Akers, though. I think Cam Akers might become their next Todd Gurley. But I also love – so this is tricky, right? I love all these guys. I'm trying to think of, where do I want to bounce them around? If Kamara has Winston, I feel so much better about him than if he has Taysom Hill. So that makes me a little nervous for his long-term outlook. Akers, though, I really could see being their next Todd Gurley. I have a hard time taking him over some of these proven guys. And I know this is PPR ranking, so I see that Chubb doesn't have as much value. They have Kareem Hunt under contract. But he's just Nick Chubb. He had, 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns after missing 4 games last year? It was insane. I think the jury's still far too out on Joe Mixon. I love the idea of a rebound. He's given me some great late season surges, and I've loved that. But I also, I don't know, the injuries, the inconsistencies, he is not nearly the lock. And he's just as old as Zeke, maybe 1 year after him. I think Gibson has to be higher. I could see this guy coming out and becoming, the next Christian McCaffrey for Ron Rivera. I'm a huge Gibson fan. I'm going to kind of cut this tier. Oh, and Najee Harris, he's going above these guys. Right there at 8. I am diehard Najee. I think he is going to be the future workhorse there for a long time. Now, if Big Ben's gone, does it really matter where Najee is? What if that offense just continues to falter and their line sucks and then the Pittsburgh just becomes a nothing team? I get that, but I don't think so. I think he's the next great Tomlin workhorse, and it won't really matter who is there. Best tandem running backs, first half Henry, second half Henry. Yeah, right? Exactly, Tunes. Wears the defense out and then steamrolls them over after that. Akers is that dude. So we got a believer from Mr. DiLorenzo. He sure looked like the dude during that late season surge. Want to see him stay healthy. Want to see him do that for a full season. But if he does, by this time next year, he's going to be up here. Let me know if any of these running backs seem like ridiculously off to you guys where I have them. Maybe I'm a little too high just because being new to the Dynasty format. Like, is Zeke, is Henry, now entering year 5 each. Those guys do hit a cliff sometime soon. If not, they're going to be insane values if you get 3 more years out of them at this prices. And how is Clyde Edwards-Helaire this low? I think he's maybe the biggest screaming buy in Dynasty right now that you could possibly have. I know last year didn't pan out. I know we were super high on this guy. I think I even rated him above Kamara. I'm so sorry. Horrible call. But that doesn't change the fact that he is still, for the next 4 years, the workhorse behind a Pat Mahomes offense. Should they commit to him and give an extension? Should he pan out to be who they thought they were when they took him at 32? You get 10 years of him with Mahomes. I mean, he would be number 2 on this list. So down at 18, I mean, give me a break. That is a screaming bargain. I think he's going to go down and is one of the best redraft and then especially dynasty picks. I would be buying as hard as I could this year based on those prices. I also think Austin Eckler is far too underrated here. And I love Dobbins as a player. I just am worried if he's ever going to be a true monster in this committee-based attack with Lamar Jackson there, not throwing on his running backs. I worry about that. I do. So I do love Eckler. I think he is one of the most underrated dynasty pieces right now, falling like around 3, 4. So I like having the Eckman in this tier. And you can see, though, it's like a lot of, the future, like the next 5 years RB1s, probably the next 5 years RB1s. Like RB is getting more and more, the Haas's, the stable is getting deeper by the year. We're getting finally some nice injection. It was barren. Remember those years like 2015, 2016, where it was like David Johnson was the only RB1 and then it was just garbage after him? Like, huh. All righty. One guy I think doesn't get enough credit, and I hated him for so long, so I know a lot of you guys are like, screw you, Wolf, you're going back on it. It's David Montgomery. I mean, the light switch went on last year. Yeah, the schedule was soft. Well, so it was for Taylor. Can we not pretend like, I do like Taylor, but you know what? I can't take him above either of those two guys, like Dalvin or Saquon in a dynasty startup. Love me some Taylor, but it's Frank Reich, and Frank Reich can still be an asshole. So here we go. We're drinking a little Treehouse Doppelganger. Nice stock up this week. Oh, it's so good. So where do you go from here? I'm not into Miles Sanders. I don't think he's it. I am very into Javonte, so I'm going to bump him up just a bit. Big fan of Montgomery. I think he gets undervalued. I do like Chris Carson. I do. Maybe not over Etienne, who as a redraft, I'm not like super, super high on, but I do think long-term he could end up being a monster. I really like Kareem Hunt, though. I think he is like the definition of the handcuff with benefits. Not even really a handcuff, though. Like he is the 1A, 1B. I think he was top 14 last year running back. And yeah, Chubb missed some time, but it wasn't like he lit it up though in those games. So, and Chubb's going to be a free agent this year. Should he leave, Kareem Hunt would be up here. I mean, he is just as good as any of these guys in honestly both of these tiers. It's just that he's the second fiddle right now. But Kareem Hunt is a guy, like if you're playing the long game, if they don't resign Nick Chubb, they get cute with that, you're going to see a guy that explodes in value, absolutely explodes. I think Chris Carson, Kareem Hunt, though. I'm not a Josh Jacobs fan. Don't like how he's used. Certainly not into Melvin Gordon. So we know that there's going to be a tier drop off here. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Miles Sanders, but I recognize he could revive it. Like, it's still early. The jury's still out on this guy. But count me as a non-believer myself. And then this is where it's like, okay, so Tony Pollard, I'm really into. Still a backup, but free agent in the next few years. So it gets tricky to rank from here, though. This is where it gets tough. And we won't spend too much time. Like, I'll go through this on my own. Do love Trey Sermon as the future potential Shanahan workhorse. Should that happen, he's going to be a top 10 guy. But that upside exists. I'd rather have him than Jacobs. I'm out on Jacobs. And the guy got the fourth most points or fourth most touches last year, third most. And he finishes like the RB13. Like, it was just so inefficient and nothing special about him. Looks okay. That's about it. Okay. Not for me. Myles Gaskin, like, and I could see Melvin Gordon landing somewhere where he gets some value, like after next year. He'll get an okay year with Denver. I like Gordon as a player. I don't see the A.J. Dillon, why he's all the way up here, because Aaron Jones just signed that monster extension, so I don't see any reason for A.J. Dillon to be as high as he is here. I'm not going to touch David. Like, these old guys, maybe Zach Moss like gets a bump up just in case he ever does take over that role. But from here, it's pretty ugly. I do like Damian Harris. I think the Pats really want him to be their guy, and they're going to give him a shot to do it this year. And if he does, you might get another few years of that. But we've reached the range like of guys, obviously McCaffrey, that I love, that I really, really like. That I mean, Javonte, I really, really like. He might be in this tier too. But, that might have a thing to prove, but I do still really like it. And then it drops off. Like, at 23, it is a big drop-off, is what I'm kind of noticing here. I would rather honestly get a guy like Pollard. Like, maybe James Robinson. I'm not into Rojo. That ship has sailed for me. Maybe as a free agent he goes somewhere. I think the talent is there. But until he's out of Tampa Bay, you're not going to get anything of him. He's a wasted pick. You're drafting him for the future. Yeah, I don't. A.J. Dillon, though, I don't need it above any of these guys. Similar to Fournette, like, great for a little stretch there, but not much being brought to the table. I think Gus Edwards, if I'm going to toss out some names from down here, they've signed him to that extension. They like him a lot. Like, I like Gus. I think Jamal Williams brings a lot to the table, and that's why I'm, I guess, a little bit lower on DeAndre Swift. I really think Jamal Williams is a player. I think he's a baller. So I'm going to give these guys a bit higher. I think Chase Edmonds makes a ton of sense in this type of range above these types of guys. Like, if he does win that job, he's going to probably be a starter. But let's say he just separates completely from James Conner. He could be a stud. But James Conner, I don't know, is 100% done yet either. So I'm going to – this will be like the top 40 here. I think Mostert still – that's too undervalued because, like, yeah, I like Sermon more, but Mostert is still going to be there for a few years. And the quote came out from the beat writers today. When he's healthy, no one glides like him in the NFL. He's the starter. He's the guy. He's the 1A, they call him. So, like, Mostert could be the lead back for the next 4 years. That's more valuable than anything down here. So I think Mostert significantly undervalued dynasty asset right now. And that's, and while I'm doing this, I cross-check myself with my man Mike Me Up, as I hinted at on that podcast a few weeks ago. Again, if you haven't seen that and you missed the intro, you have to check out that podcast with Mike Me Up if you're a Dynasty fan. So much good strategy and things to consider from that long-term, like rebuilding, all that type of stuff. Unbelievable stuff. I'm a Patreon for him. I love his rankings. I think they're amazing. And I'm cross-checking mine. They'll be like, am I insane on this guy? Through a lot of these. And there's a couple I'm way higher on than Mike, for sure. Todd Exotic. What's going on, man? Great to see you. It's been a minute. I hope you had a good school year. I hope you're enjoying all that summer vacation time, man. I hope you're Treehouse is the absolute GOAT. Anthony DiLorenzo. Jacobs around 4.5 equals steal. LV investing in their own line. Not much of a pass catcher anyways. KD arrival, not bad. So you're thinking I'm wrong here. Sammy, I appreciate that commentary on Josh Jacobs. He's just not for me. I don't know. I don't think he's that good. Like, I know he's not really a pass catcher. And are they investing in their O-line? They just released like 4 linemen, right? Like, they're completely remaking it after they had a decent line last year. I don't know. I don't like what they're doing. I'm not a Jacobs believer. I'm not. And I might look dumb there. Maybe he does belong with like this group because last year he was a top 10 running back. So, like maybe, but he's not for me. So that's what I got for running backs. I'm trying to just think if there's any other like names to shout out like down here that I really believe in. You're looking at all these like old guys. I do like Michael Carter a lot. I'm going to send him soaring up these ranks. Even though the track record of those round day 3 guys is almost non-existent, I think he could be the exception. I think Mike Davis has a year or 2 at least as a lead back in this Falcons offense, and that could be worth a whole lot. Like, if I'm going to rank Myles Gaskin up there, Davis should be up here. So I think he definitely deserves a little bit of a bump. I'm going to put Mostert just a little lower. I'm a little too high on him. And I think Melvin Gordon could, even when he's a free agent next year, rebound. But yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any last names down here at running back that catch my eyes. Like, oh yeah, let me bump that guy up. Javion Hawkins, I'd really like. Let's just get him kind of chucked up here. Jimmy White's still going to catch the ball. He's still going to do some things. But yeah, now you're looking at backups and old useless guys that you never really want. So that'll wrap up our running backs there. Let me know, again, your thoughts in the comments or live here. If there's anybody I am far off on with these, it'd be much appreciated. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments. Check out some more videos and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.